Hello. I was just wondering, there's a little study done where there was a baby reacting to mother's emotions, and I think it was like a 5 or 6 month old baby, where the mother would laugh and the baby would laugh, and then when she went stone faced, the baby just started to cry. So I'm just wondering, like, when you think these emotional learning starts, like super early on, like when it's observing the mother and other faces around, like learning from their sort of emotional. Just wondering when that starts, you think?
Yeah, so I would say infants don't observe a mother laughing and perceive emotion. There's no evidence for that, actually. It's been tested, and there's no evidence for that. But affect, babies are born with the capacity to feel pleasure and pain, and it looks as if very early on, although it's not clear exactly when because of how the studies are done, but maybe as early as 3 months, and I would think maybe even before that. My intuition tells me before that, but the data suggests around 3 months that babies are able to guess at the affect. They're able to guess whether, from cues, whether someone is feeling pleasant or unpleasant. But what your question about is, I talk about this in the book, and there's a paper that we published in Nature Human Behavior, actually exactly about this point. So I'm going to try to say this in the least politically charged way that I can. I know, right? It looks like learning that is based on, infants don't learn based on feeling. We don't know that. They might be learning based on how other people are managing their body budget. So a baby can't manage its own body budget. It can't feed itself, clothe itself, regulate its own temperature. It can't even move its limbs, actually. It doesn't know when to sleep, and it doesn't even know how to, babies aren't born knowing how to nurse. Anyone who's ever had a baby and tried to nurse a baby, you know what I'm talking about. You have to teach a baby how to do it, right? And that has consequences. So a mother or a father or a caregiver is basically maintaining the body budget of that infant. And there are interoceptive consequences of that, and therefore there are affective consequences of that. So it's not clear what's driving the learning. Is it the affect, or is it the feeling, or is it the sensations themselves? We don't really know the answer. But it happens super early. Probably even in the last trimester. Because other sorts of statistical learning we know are happening in the last trimester. A baby is born, it doesn't see very well, it doesn't hear very well, but if you place a baby on its mother's belly immediately after birth, it will wriggle its way up to her breast by smell. Because it knows the smell of the amniotic fluid, which is the same smell as the colostrum coming from her breast. And there's some evidence to suggest that babies also are learning, that fetuses in the last trimester, if you take a preemie that's born in the last trimester, and it's not fully, it's not only is it, a little infant brain is not a miniature adult brain. It's a brain that is waiting for wiring instructions from the world, right? But some of those wiring instructions also happen in utero in the last trimester. So, for example, if you take a preemie and you play muffled sounds of the mother's voice to that preemie in its crib in the NICU, then you see corresponding changes in auditory cortex development, proceeding along the way you would expect it to for a neurotypical infant. So the learning, we don't know how early the learning starts, frankly, but it starts definitely for interoception and affect. I would say at birth, frankly, because you're doing things to this infant which is managing its body budget, and that is that's how an infant learns what's rewarding and what's punishing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I do have a question.